Welcome to the Legendary Upside Podcast. My name is Pat Crane. Follow all of my content at legendaryupside.com. Today, I'm joined by Davis Mattek and Patrick Daugherty. We're going to be talking the Wildcard Weekend, just kind of what we think is going to happen in these games, how we think they're going to shake out. Guys, how's it going?
Very good. All these teams suck.
The Shakey's Pizza game, man.
It's a pretty good field. It's a pretty good field this year. On the
What's
whole,
TJ Yates doing? Is TJ Yates busy?
TJ Yates has got to be coaching high school football.
He does. He could be a quarterback's coach somewhere.
I think he is a QB's coach for maybe Akron or something.
Guess the NFL team. It's
NFL team.
Guess the NFL team that he is currently the quarterback's coach of. It literally, when I say it, you'll be like, well, yeah, obviously he is.
The Colts.
That's so close to being right.
I just looked it up now. I'm not going to guess.
The Titans.
The Atlanta Falcons. Because of course he is. Because of course TJ Yates needed to be Kirk Cousins' positional coach.
Say the Kirk Cousins and the oldest ever rookie quarterback who has nothing left to learn. TJ Yates is there to teach
TJ
him,
Yates. Yeah.
That's hey, good for
He's
him.
He's basically just shagging fly balls. That's basically TJ Yates' job.
I assumed he was probably an offensive coordinator, for not one of the biggest Dallas high schools, but one of the second tier Dallas high schools. That's kind of where I thought he would be. So that he's in the NFL, it's a pretty nice accomplishment.
Yeah, shout out to him.
I was assuming I should have guessed Patriots because then I thought wherever Bill O'Brien is probably where he's landed. But
dude, Crane, how old do you think TJ Yates
stranded
is?
Him on the Patriots, maybe.
How old do you think TJ Yates is?
38.
Why would you guess that old? Because you're right. He's 37, which I couldn't believe. I thought he'd be I guess.
I was just gonna guess younger than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, he was a rookie in 2011. I thought he'd be 34 or 35. No, he's 37. He's ancient.
Speaking of getting old, did hear, we had some news heading into this wild card weekend of guys on the injury report. RotoPat here was on the injury report as well. Questionable with a hamstring injury, which he suffered shoveling snow.
I was, but I actually did. This is not a joke. I iced up pretty quickly, and also not a joke. I was miserable the first day, but then I got kind of slowly addicted to it. And because I didn't come anywhere close to finishing the first day. I got enough to get our cars out of the garage, but there was so much more snow to go. And to take people behind the curtain, I live next door to my parents-in-law, and they were gone. They were out of town this week, and they got a big driveway, and they needed a lot of shoveling done. And I went from hating every second of shoveling on it was either Sunday or Monday to kind of by today I couldn't live without it. And my in-laws are back now, and I'm kind of sad that all my shoveling projects are over because now I'm handing it back off to my father-in-law. I did most of the hard stuff. I'm kind of sad. I got super, super addicted to it. The hammy recovered beautifully.
What's your shoveling routine? You got a podcast going, music?
No. Yeah. Well, okay. The very first day, I recently, everyone made fun of me for always doing corded headphones. I recently opened my AirPods.
No, do you know that corded headphones are that's the Gen Z thing? Because
I know,
dude,
yeah.
You're just going to put Bluetooth in your head, man? You trust the government to put Bluetooth in your brain? That's not very ancestral.
Very Aaron Rodgers of you.
Yeah, so I don't believe in the Bluetooth thing at all, but I finally opened these recently and was going to try to use them. And then I couldn't get them connected. I was like, screw this, whatever. And I've been going. I've been raw dogging it. Nothing. Just the beautiful sound of the shovel catching on the concrete and making me the Joker.
Yeah, that is
raw dogging snow.
Yeah,
that is truly to me insane.
Well, I'm not in general a science. I listen to a lot of music, but the shovel you become one. You become one with nature pretty quickly. It's just you don't need a distraction. You get in.
When you watch The Shining, do you see that as a movie about a guy who became one with nature?
Well, he did. He achieved a flow state with nature. Jack Nicholson. That's when I actually sent. It's funny you mentioned that. I sent that famous still image to my in-laws on Monday, and I said that was me while they were in Hawaii. And thankfully, it had a happier ending. And then I got their garage. I got in front of their garage cleared.
Well, we'll see. There's more snow on the way.
It's true. There's more and more snow in St. Louis. Apparently, we're making up for lost time.
It's insane. It is truly insane.
I got 2 or 3. I had to have my wife massage my hamstring 3 different times. Oh my god! This is. But I'm ready. Like, I could play in the wild card round this weekend. I got injured on the short week. I could still play this weekend.
All right.
I
Good.
shoveled my driveway once, and that's it. There's the snow from today. It's just gonna have to make do. I'm not doing
The
that
snow from
again.
today is making do. I actually did shovel the top half today, but it's making do with the rest.
Oh, I thought you were saying you did a Leone and had someone come shovel your driveway.
I would, just to be perfectly frank. In fact, I think I've resolved to buy a snowblower, despite just extolling the virtues of
What
it.
about salting, pre-salting the driveway?
I don't know,
I
man.
heard that's a cheat code.
Denny's neighbor did that. Oh, one of my neighbors did it too, actually, and it is a cheat code. But yeah, it's either you got to do it or there's no in between. Like the salt's like an in between. Either I'm going to do it or have a professional do it. I'm not going to salt.
That's
All right.
reasonable.
Let's dive into the games here.
Is it? It's not reasonable at all. By the way, there's no real difference between salting and.
Salting seems like the way to go. Personally,
it wasn't reasonable.
You throw salt down, and
it was time to move on. But you didn't have to say it was reasonable because it wasn't.
All right, so let's go in order of the actual games. Let's talk through these games. Starting with the Chargers and Texans, which is at 1:30 Pacific time, 4:30
Don't speak
Eastern.
Pacific time. No one knows.
All
what
right,
you're
I'm
talking
sorry.
about.
I had to convert in my head.
Jesus,
no one knows what you're
It's at
talking about.
1:30 on a sunny afternoon in San Diego.
Pat Mayo lives in Atlantic time, and I'm just like, if you ever try and communicate anything to me in Atlantic time,
So he's seriously is he way out in Newfoundland or something?
He's literally in Nova Scotia.
Yes, Nova and Newfoundland and like St. John's. It's a little known North American fact that I've always been obsessed with is in Atlantic time.
Atlantic time.
Wow, good for him.
Huh. So he doesn't just go Eastern. I think, and I'm more Pacific, so I feel like I can make this case. You got to go Eastern. Just if you're communicating time zones, just go Eastern.
I've given into East Coast supremacy. It kills me a little bit every single time.
I don't. And Corain knows this because we have to communicate about stuff like this frequently. I will just say Central Time, and I indicate that it's Central Time. I say Central Time so that everyone knows because I can't translate. I'll fuck up. I'll forget. I did this today to Peter. Peter and I had something scheduled, and I thought it was an hour later than it was, and he literally had to text me and be like, "Bro, where are you?" All right.
You do get better at translating when you move to the West Coast. I don't mind. Yeah, you do Central Time, but you always do the CT, and then I'm like, you get used to it.
You can translate because it's just the only way for me to keep it straight.
I'm to the point where I do Eastern Time, even with we have several West Coast employees. Like I'm in the Central Time zone, they're in the Western Time zone. But I'm like, it's
that is the liberal elite.
It's dark. Jeez. It's dark. I gave in. I allowed myself to be colonized by the East Coast, but I gave in.
All right, let's talk some football. For at least half the pod, I would say. The Chargers at Texans. This is a game I'm doing. The FFPC playoff contest stuff. And the best ball streets, not a lot of love for the Texans. You can get the Texans guys pretty late in best ball. I think in FFPC, people will be kind of fading the Texans a little bit. And so I was wondering if this line would actually end up moving a little bit. It hasn't. It stayed at 3, opened 3, stayed at +3 for the Texans. Still, they're home dogs. What jumps out to you about this game, Davis?
I can't even believe that I am positioned to be here. But the thing that jumps out to me at this game is both of these coaches are going to want to run the ball. And the Chargers will have like a kind of confusing 3-way, maybe actually literally probably 4-way. Kamani Vidal will probably be active for this game, but Haskins will be too for special teams. So probably 4 guys will carry the ball and like somehow Stone Smart will also. But Joe Mixon's going to get the ball like 26 times if this game doesn't get out of hand either way. And I just feel like no one really wants to acknowledge that he's probably going to have 112 yards and a touchdown. Like it's kind of an inconvenient truth.
Yeah.
But really what would have to happen for that not to occur? The Chargers would have to get up like 14-0 or something. It would have to be basically a repeat of Christmas Day for the Texans. And no disrespect to the Chargers, but they are not the Baltimore Ravens.
No.
So that's the main thing. And then also for like DFS stuff, like Mechie is really like if the Texans win, one of these secondary guys, Mechie, Schultz, Hutchinson, Woods, one of these guys will kind of have a good game. The preponderance of evidence is that they're unable to do so because we're going on Tank Diggs tore his ACL in week 6, and none of them have had a good game since. It seems bad.
Did you mention the secondary option who might step up?
Deontay Johnson.
It's time.
If Deontay Johnson shows up in this game, I'll be truly stunned. I mean,
he's gonna be the focal point.
God, that would be very Bobby Slowick coded.
It would be. It's so Slowick coded. Oh my God. Yes, it is.
I mean, I do feel like I would enjoy just the complete, like what needs to happen to Stroud now is that in like one season he needs to go from like exciting, rookie quarterback, gets the playoff win, because everyone was picking against them last year. They beat Cleveland. Go from that to just like becoming late career Ben Roethlisberger and just peppering Deontay Johnson with short targets. I feel like it's as likely as Mechie or any of these other guys that Johnson has a role here, right?
It would be his first meaningful action in a playoff game.
Here's the deal with Deontay. After 2 really good organizations, the Steelers and Ravens, like both unceremoniously gave up on him. Like 2 organizations too, they're have over the years they've known how to navigate like big personalities or like problem guys in the locker room. Big red flag when those 2 organizations give up on a player. So basically, to then sign that player mid-season, you have to be truly desperate. And you're not signing Deontay Johnson to come in and like be like an emergency option. Like you're signing him because you like really are that desperate.
You're signing him because you're like somehow Steven Sims returned and was like active and playing, and so that is probably just as desperate.
I feel like you are signing him because you're truly desperate. So it was and then like in week 16 or 18 or whatever, like he was out on the field a lot. Like they were clearly trying to ramp him up, like get him as ready as possible. Where I really do think he is going to be like highly in because it's like him or Bob Woods.
He ran 16 routes. That's not nothing.
Yeah. No, I think they are they're doing it because obviously they're not doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they're super, super, super desperate.
How many so he ran 16 routes in week 18 for the Texans. How many total routes do you think he ran in 4 weeks with Baltimore?
9.
19.
Oh my God. So a little more. He was a lot more involved than I thought.
Yeah, I know. 636 and 4 routes run for Deontay Johnson. So I don't know. He's like, there's nothing really to do with this information from the games I play, but I could see him contributing to the Texans offense here.
So my thoughts on this game. I know Davis is a huge fan of the Windhorst meme. I know, and so like kind of universally agreed upon, the Texans are the worst team in the field. Some people do make the argument for the Steelers. I did rank the Texans 14th out of 14 in my Ranking the Field article. It's not a unique opinion, and yet, as Davis pointed out, it's bad to be a home dog in the playoffs. Like clearly, you're not being respected.
Really,
still only a
really
3-point home. What?
And the home dog, I think Rich told me this morning, a home dog in this spot hasn't won in ages.
Okay, well then maybe we're pretty good at identifying the home teams that just suck. Well, the way the game is being talked about, you would think they're 9.5-point dogs, like the Steelers. And there is a bit of a disconnect between how bad their perception is, understandably so, and then the way people are willing to bet and the way the bookies are willing to set the lines, where they're probably not quite. I guess on a neutral field, this would be 6.5 or something. So it's not inconsequential, but it's there's not nearly as big of a gulf as you would think based on the way we talk about the Texans. I think to go full football guy, I made this exact same argument on our show. I think for the Texans to win this game, they have to they basically have to take the run away from the Chargers. Because even now, the Chargers are still so obsessed with establishing it. They got Dobbins back, so they're we're back. We can establish it again. This is great. It doesn't matter even if he averages 2.7 yards per carry. They're going to, especially since they're the favorites. I think they have to basically make the run truly not even possible. Eliminated as an option for Justin Herbert. And I think they were top 5 in sacks. I think they want the Chargers
they have a really good pass rush.
Yeah.
They have a really good pass defense. I think that's
they're fifth
way
in
to
the
win.
NFL on defense in yards per play allowed.
So their way to win,
Yeah.
I feel like, is I think they want the Chargers dropping back a ton and trying to create turnovers and sacks, basically. I think it's the path to victory for the Texans.
I think the Texans are pretty live here because of the defense. And the Chargers defense is good, but I don't think it's like amazing. So the bigger issue is that Stroud has been bad. Stroud's been really bad this year. He's quarterback 32 and EPA
Blame
per
it all
game.
on Bobby. Blame it all on Bobby. It's fine.
Yeah, the issue for Stroud is that has been pressure. They've not been good on the offensive line. They've allowed a lot of pressure. They've allowed pressure quickly. And like ESPN's pass block win rate, they rank really low. They also rank really bad in run block win rate. So it's just like not a good offensive line. And I think we've seen that Stroud is one of these guys who like you really do need to have in good surroundings. He's probably not going to like overcome a bad offensive line and banged up weapons and stuff. I mean, frankly, he's got a better. His weapons are still better than most because he's got an elite wide receiver 1, and most guys don't have that. But
talk about it, and his short area wide receiver 2, target.
Yeah, he's got Deontay Johnson. I mean, what's there to complain about?
Man.
But the Chargers, their strength of their defense has been more their coverage than their pass rush this year. So I wonder if like Stroud looks, somewhat capable here. If they're not punishing the Texans for their poor offensive line as much as some other teams might.
Well, don't you think the Chargers fraud alert is pretty live? I feel like too.
Oh,
they beat not again.
absolutely.
I have so many boomer stats after doing my article this week, but the boomer stats here are that the Chargers beat one playoff team all year. They did it twice,
and it's the Broncos.
They beat the Broncos
playoff
twice.
team technically.
Wow.
Yeah, so
technically.
And so the NFL started talking about strength of victory this year. It's one of their tie-breaking metrics. The Chargers is like the combined win percentage, I guess, of the teams the Chargers beat is 348. Almost like stunningly low. It was by far the lowest in the entire playoff field. The Chargers' strength of victory. And, they were taking on a lot of they got killed by the Bucs. They closed really strong, but it was the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Raiders. We're just like I get the Chargers feel like a kind of a classic, even with Justin Herbert, like a year early into the Harbaugh project.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like a fraud alert.
They're you know what they're like? They're like an NBA team that is rebuilding and they get their star and then they fire the shitty coach that was there when they got the star, but they're that first year in and like you've got like Royal Ivy is playing, like Derek Fisher is starting for some reason. Like they're just, obviously I'm talking about the Thunder here, where they're just, you could clearly see they're going to be good. Well, it's the first year with Kerr and the Warriors, right? You have Steph, he's transcendent, he's amazing, but you just like, I'm forgetting
the first year with Kerr, I think they won the NBA Finals.
I think they won the NBA title.
Yeah. So you got to find a better analogy.
I basically am thinking of the playoff series they lost to the Nuggets. Is really what I'm thinking, and I guess Mark Jackson was still the coach.
That was
they're in that era.
That was Brandon Staley.
Yes, yeah, Brandon Staley, very heavy Mark Jackson vibes.
Yes, seriously.
Absolutely.
For sure.
They have like 2.5 good players on offense.
Yeah, they're just a little bit early. Like the project's a little ahead of schedule. Like one more draft class, I think they'll be start with like where they really Harbaugh eyes the roster. I think they're going to be looking a lot better overall. But
it could be Lionsy. I mean, the Lions last year weren't quite there. They were close. They made a ton of progress. Maybe that's where they're at. And then next year they're going to be this dominant team. I think so. That's one narrative. The other narrative would be, I think, the one that kind of looms large in people's minds, like just having seen them on Christmas getting absolutely stomped. It's hard to like take the Texans that seriously, and kind of like here's a team that is faltering. They're stumbling into the playoffs. That's like where the Eagles were last year. I feel like sometimes I underestimate
how bad it's going.
Stuff. Yeah, like when a team is just kind of falling apart as they enter the playoffs, like those teams. I remember the Eagles last year against the Bucs. Like,
yes,
I was like, oh, it's the Eagles. Like they've been pretty good at times this year. Like
that was
Bucs
humbling.
great. Yeah, and then you turn the game on and you're like, oh,
the Bucs are like the Shaq Kobe meme, like this constant transition dunks. Like, wow,
yeah,
the Eagles were that bad.
So I don't know. You get as far as the vibes go, like the stink is on the Texans and the Steelers. I would say those are the two teams just covered in stink right now, and it is hard to pick the Texans. I think
You can't pick the Texans. I mean, it's the classic. Would I be shocked if they beat the Chargers? I would like intellectually understand why. Yeah, the Chargers just like there wasn't as big of a difference between these teams as we thought. Type of deal. But yeah, you can't pick the Texans. I might be serious. Like, come on.
All right, so I'm gonna pull this up. So let's collectively say who are. So we're going Chargers here, right?
We're going Chargers.
Yeah.
This is Pro Football Network's playoff tab here.
Chargers are not on fraud alert at all.
Chargers are not on fraud alert. I believe in the Chargers. Here, maybe I can make it bigger. There we go. Okay. All right, so we got the Chargers. Next game is what is the next game? This is at 5 o'clock Pacific time. No, 8 o'clock Eastern.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Worst ever start time for a game in history. Be ended right in the middle of bedtime. Freaking ridiculous.
That's a crazy time for a game. Are you kidding me? Steelers at Ravens. This is the other stinky offense here. I mean, this has not just the stink of the Steelers, kind of talk about stumbling into the playoffs, but you also have a stink around the game where you get the third matchup between divisional rivals.
Yes. Always
defense.
a rock fight. You're right. I forgot about that aspect.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the narrative around this game. The total for this game is, I should mention, the game we just did has a 42.5 total. That's the lowest on the week. But the Ravens are at 43.5. That's the total here. The Ravens have a healthy 26.5 implied team total, but the Steelers are at just 17 because they're 9.5 point favorites. And that's moved a point. It opened 8.5, now 9.5. So, didn't cross the key number or anything, but people do not believe in the Steelers here.
Pretty interesting that they gained a point, even though they lost one of their best players in the intervening few days. Zay Flowers was ruled out.
The Steelers are so bad that according to Steelers beat writers, they had to have a private team meeting to address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is that they're bad. Like, people were asking, like, what's the elephant in the room? And the elephant in the room is that they can't score any points or win any games. This is not made up. Look this up. This really happened. They had a meeting where Mike Tomlin had to address the quote unquote elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room was that they stink.
That we suck. Wow. I would have preferred there was like a clubhouse cancer or something.
Yeah, that's a shitty elephant to have.
Not just that
should we bring Deontay Johnson back? Nope.
Right.
It was to address that they're bad.
Hear me out though. I'll go down Alibi Street, Narrative Street. So okay, 1-1 this year. The Steelers did win their game at home against the Ravens. Then the Ravens beat the Steelers. It was without George Pickens. George Pickens been playing so well since he came back, by the way.
He just hit the ground running.
George Pickens picked right up where he left off. Coming back. And didn't at all have the worst game I've ever seen on an individual level in week 18. But yeah, the boomer stat, I cannot get. So the two things that trouble me about this game is the head-to-head Tomlin owning the Ravens is a bit concerning. Especially for the third matchup of the year.
Yeah, the third matchup thing's always a little.
They're not going to like scare Tomlin or whatever.
Right.
I feel like losing Zay is very, very bad. I think this is the Zay skeptic because they just don't have like a truly dynamic playmaker now. Like losing Zay is, I feel like, a much bigger deal. Like, I feel like it's not barely even getting discussed. And I feel like it's like a humongous deal for the Ravens. It's made me lose a lot of faith in the Ravens, to be honest.
I actually don't think it's that big a deal.
I think it's a huge deal. Like, where do these lost targets go? Like
this guy Isaiah Likely. This guy Isaiah Likely.
It probably is likely.
Is like hard capped by the fact that he's playing with a first ballot Hall of Famer, which people are going to hate that take. But it's true.
I said, where did the lost Zay Flowers targets go? I said Freiermuth.
Well, I mean, potentially. Corinne, I shared my screen because I think people are gonna think I was making this up. I just wanted on the record it was literally not made up.
Oh my god.
Like
The elephant in the room, so to speak.
Not made up, straight up. They just had to.
Let me ask you this: what are the chances that they bring back Russ? Like, if they lose this game and they're not embarrassed, it's like a hard fought loss. What are the chances that Russ comes back?
I mean, they brought back Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, higher than you think. That's what I'd say.
Ben Roethlisberger was in his Russell Wilson era for like 6 years.
Roethlisberger's a franchise legend, though. Super Bowl winner. It's a little different.
I mean, it seems like their options are not that great in terms of
they're like my St. Louis Cardinals, where they're never bad enough to get an actually good pick, but they're no longer good enough to be elite. They do have a lot of bad options.
I think they should have benched Russ after Week 18. That's what I'm.
Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins.
Oof, man, they do. They want
Fields should be starting this game. You play to win the game. Russ is not.
Unironically, why are they not Taysoming?
I wonder, by the way, if that's the wrinkle.
It's got to be. It doesn't make sense that they're not doing it. They need to be Taysoming the hell out of Fields.
Sacrilegious right now, Corinne in Discord is saying if he had access to sports bets, he would take the alt over on Justin Fields statistics.
I mean, that's what they need. Like, they need a shot of life. Fields, not just an interesting kind of dual threat, but well liked, a guy that the Bears locker room loved, kind of a leader, wins over a locker room. I feel like getting this guy involved is going to put, some spirit. So you're going to lift the spirits.
Either that or it'll make the 3 and outs even faster.
Right. No, it could go horribly wrong.
It's so predictable. All right, Fields coming in. The odds he's throwing are like 15%. So I just don't respect any play fakes. Go hammer him.
You're almost 10-point road dogs to what is generally considered the strongest team in the field. You gotta take some chances. You gotta.
First, let's just be clear. The Steelers are gonna cover. They're gonna cover. Let's just be.
I don't know.
Let's be intellectually honest about this. It's an easy.
So I am being intellectually honest, and I think that any argument you can have about the Steelers like doing stuff here is not related to anything that's taking place on the field.
No,
it's all
literally not related to that at all. It's all like the third game and Tomlin stuff.
I think the Ravens like legit like hang dong. Like I think we're talking like Lamar Jackson throws a behind the back pass to Charlie Kolar at some point. Like that is more the way I'm leaning.
I hate to get fully boomer. He's never had that moment in the playoffs. Like we're so overdue for that moment in the playoffs from Lamar. I'll say
100%.
Like we're overdue. He's due.
Well, I think
being due is real, by the way.
So yeah, it's very real. All the numbers back it up. The Ravens lost to the Steelers in that first game, and they beat them in the second game. I think it's like we got the Steelers frisky game out of the way. It's over. They did it.
That's a good point.
We're not getting an 18-16 Steelers win here, which we got the first.
I'll just say that the loss to the Ravens, it was on a short week. It was on the road. It was without George Pickens. It was still only quote unquote 34-17. I mean, not great.
But Pat, what you're not factoring in is that every game is now without George Pickens, who had 37 routes and 7 targets in Week 18.
Listen, he was on the Deontay Johnson plan in Week 18. He was on the Deontay Johnson plan. Like, get me to the Panthers immediately in Week 18.
Yeah, it's not ideal for the Steelers.
It was the worst game I've ever seen. I think it actually was the worst receiver performance I've ever seen. Like just straight up horrifying drops, like hard to comprehend drops.
The other thing about this matchup for the Steelers is that Arthur Smith he's been Arthur Smith. Like they have a really, really low pass rate over expected. The Ravens have still been profiled. Their pass defense has gotten better, but they've still profiled it as a pass funnel this year because they're really good against the run. One of the best run defenses in the entire league. And I do not trust Arthur Smith to pivot off of that in a real way. The most we've seen him do is like they've been like slightly pass rate over expected, like kind of like right around even on pass rate over expected with like a normal pass rate. But this there's a cap. They never lean into the pass and actually attack or avoid a strength of the Ravens defense. Like, they're not going to do that. They're going to run on the Ravens. They're going to establish the run so that they can play action off it, all the Arthur Smith stuff. It's just a bad matchup for them.
You know what they should do? I was just fantasizing about this while you were talking. They should just start Justin Fields without announcing it.
That would be sick.
That would be so sick. It would not work, but like they're in like kind of
it wouldn't work.
No,
but neither will what they're about to do.
It does have a greater chance of working than what they're going to do.
Yes,
yeah. Dude, the Steelers should just be legends and start a guy without saying anything.
Please just start Justin Fields. That would be so badass. You didn't prepare for him. You got this.
Dude, the Texas A&M did it to Mizzou this year, and they put up friggin' 41 point. We acted like we had never seen we were expecting a dual threat, and they started the conventional passer guy, and we were just so screwed. I'm still mad about it, to be honest.
Should have prepped for the forward pass, man.
It was dishonorable by A&M. Steelers should look very strongly into doing it.
They honestly should. That they're not going to do it.
Why aren't you concerned about the loss of Zay, by the way?
It'll matter a lot if he's not playing next week.
He's not. He's done, man. So the Ravens are cooked, by the way. Not in this game, but they're cooked.
You think he's done? I don't think he's done. I think.
Yeah, he didn't even come close to practicing this week.
I think he might miss next round, but I think
it suggests like even if he plays in the divisional round, he's gonna be like limping around.
Okay, well, they're definitely not winning the Bills game without Zay Flowers. I don't think
it's feeling pretty over on Zay, I would say, because you don't take even like the Ravens are not taking this game for granted. Like the fact that he didn't even come close to playing in this game bodes very poorly for his divisional rounds. I think the only reason he's not on IR is that they're like hoping for a miracle, basically, or for some German stem cells.
Well, that is a different interpretation than like everything in the market. So that is like very worth noting.
That's not how I played in playoff best ball, which I'm taking Bateman first and everything like that.
He didn't even come close to practicing this week. And
yeah,
I think the IR thing too, they're not going to put him on IR because they would end his season. I think they're honestly just kind of hoping like he wakes up one day. It's like, it feels a lot better, but there's not really much reason. Because the Ravens, I'm sure, are treating this game like it's a Super Bowl. They're not taking the Steelers for granted. Like they're not like holding him back for the divisional round. Like he just was not even
with a knee sprain like that. Like you're hoping to avoid swelling and stuff, I'd imagine. So it's like just keep him off it. Like you don't want to push your luck.
No, but knees, like an ankle can like magically get better. Like I feel like a knee is like doesn't just magically get better like that. Like. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't. We don't know how bad it actually is the thing. Because sometimes like they're like, oh, I hurt my knee, and you're like, oh no, and then they like look totally normal.
Exactly. The fact that he didn't get in any practice reps is very.
I think you're right. Yeah, that is concerning. It's more concerning than I've really.
Yeah, limited practice on Thursday followed by no practice on Friday. You're like, sure, okay. That's not great though.
And like they didn't even take it down to game time. They ruled him out. Like that's very unusual.
That's true too. Yeah.
Like, normally in the playoffs, you try to like again, you're holding out hope for a miracle, basically. Like he'll feel okay on Saturday, and they didn't do that. So they weren't even the fact that they foreclosed the possibility of a miracle like 3 days before the game. I feel like doesn't bode well for his divisional.
It might be Jover.
Sure, he's going to catch 11 passes now in the divisional round. That I've said this. But.
I think that, Andrews has been getting open. Bateman's been getting open. They've played with Lamar for a long, long time. Zay is good and he matters, but I don't know that he matters like a ton for this game. Like
probably not for this game. Yeah, not as much for this game. He does.
It's more the Bills. If he's not going to play the Bills game, that hurts. Yeah.
I will say too, though, like Isaiah likely is one of the better like random like backups in the league. It's like when you lose someone like Zay. Like it's not. There's clearly a reason they don't feature Isaiah likely on the reg, but like he's pretty good as far as depth goes.
Yeah, he is. All right, so we're picking the Ravens here. This is not much of a discussion about that.
Except for the Steelers who are covering. Just be intellectual.
No, I think I would. It's a lot of points, but I think I would still
keep talking. I'm looking up the weather real quick.
The weather is supposed to be pretty decent, I think.
Yeah,
Really?
Roth's weather report, green everywhere.
It was
Really?
green.
That sucks. I don't know. It's the high. The high is. It's gonna be cold. It will be cold. The high is 33 in Boca.
30 though. That's not even really that cold.
I guess. Well, hold on. Guess what? There's a snowflake emoji overnight. Might be a little.
I feel like if you,
Snow doesn't even benefit the Steelers
no, it
because like
doesn't.
somehow that would like juice Lamar up. Like somehow the snow would like give him like an extra gear.
You're right. Like bouncing around.
Dude,
Like
I wonder, if we're being intellectually honest, can we just admit that all of us in our heads think like, oh, the Ravens aren't built to play from behind. Lamar can't throw in a passing game. And then that is just not represented in the data at all. That he just has been like the fourth best passing quarterback in the whole of football this year.
he's good. He's really good.
he had by far, I
Great.
feel like, the best year of his career this year, which is
By
why it
far.
sucks
He
that he
was
doesn't
better
have
than
the
last
full.
year.
It sucks that he doesn't have the full deck now. I hate that.
Yeah.
I do think he was like finally ready to like go on like a soul reaving postseason run.
It is so funny that Josh Allen and Lamar just like are having these mind bending seasons and like the Chiefs just get to easily win. They get to beat the Chargers and then like, oh, we'll be 3-point favorites at home and we're not going to play very well, but Sean McDermott will call a fake punt to DeMar Hamlin and we'll just easily win again.
Yep.
Just like no sweat win again.
Yep. It's really quite
I
something.
hate it. You think it's funny. I do not. This is
I do
awful.
I do think it's very funny because this year was peak people coping and seething about the Chiefs, just being mad online about it.
Lots
And
of
they lost-
seething.
And they lost one game that mattered, and it took a 4th and 2 conversion for them to lose. Like they lost one game that mattered, and they could have won it anyway. It's so funny.
It's so frustrating because Mahomes. I used to root for Mahomes in a big way. Mahomes is like one of the good guys. You know, like
Not anymore.
this is the type of play we want in the league, and now it's boring, and he doesn't take any chances anymore. I'm not. He turned into like 38-year-old Brady.
I'm telling you, I
told
keep
me-
he did the Brady career in reverse. He had his Randy Moss years to begin his career.
as a 24-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now he's doing the first Patriots
He's
dynasty.
doing the first run.
Yes.
Liam told me
Oh,
he actually
no.
wouldn't be mad if the Chiefs won again this year because they beat them in the regular season and it wasn't an undefeated season. The worst case scenario if you hate the Chiefs was an undefeated
That's called
season.
lying to yourself. That's called delusion.
No, I believe him.
Liam would
I
be-
actually
Liam would be
do
as
believe
as
him.
would every self-respecting Bills fan.
Dude, I saw a few Ravens fans saying they wanted the Chiefs. I was like, dude, like what?
Certainly you do not.
Like, what are you doing? Like, stop.
Your offensive coordinator forgot that running the ball even existed
I
as a
know.
concept the last time he
That
played the
was-
Chiefs because he was
man.
so shook.
That was seriously an all-time badly called game from Todd.
Like
Monken's
straight up, just
game.
like the Chiefs were bad in that game.
They
They
were.
played bad.
The Ravens choked that game away. Like that was Lamar needed to I'm the captain now and run that game. Lamar didn't run. That was an all-time choke job by the Ravens in that game.
True.
Yeah, you don't want the Chiefs. So you got to. It's the fan base you're thinking about the glory, but you got to think about.
You don't want the
pain.
glory, yeah.
Yeah.
As a Chiefs fan, you know who I wanted? Bye week Texans.
That's a real fan.
Dude, if you're the Ravens
That's a real
too,
fan.
if you're the Raven, like you want Mahomes to suffer like a week-to-week calf sprain in the divisional round and for them to lose. You don't want to be like gross and like root for like an Achilles or something, like because otherwise, man, like it's not good for you. It's not looking good to me. I had the Ravens ranked ahead of the Chiefs until I honestly think the Zay thing is like the biggest deal that no one's talking about.
Until you decided to apply some intellectual rigor.
It's true. Yeah, that actually. I was going with my heart, and then I put the Chiefs back ahead of them.
All right, let's jump to the Broncos at Bills. This game actually has a decent total.
Bills defense stinks and you can run on them.
Yeah.
The Marvin Mims out of the backfield thing, I think if they had done this from week 1, maybe they could have been more fun on offense. Pretty impressed with Bo Nix, but he's going to get tossed to the wood chipper here. Let me ask Pat this. Roto Patrick. Which Bills player are you most confident will catch a touchdown in this game?
The Bill, it's going to be someone tilted, someone dumb, I'm gonna say like the right tackle, to be honest.
Reggie Gilliam
Yeah,
somehow.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
Reggie Gilliam for sure. Yeah, like because they're gonna act like the second the playoffs start, the Bills act like they've never won a game before, and like we gotta empty the playbook. Like get one of the tackle eligible plays. You're like, oh, maybe have Josh Allen
the
run it.
fake reverse
Yeah.
throw that Brady called against the Ravens when they finally had momentum. That was I'm just like, you're just not a serious team if you're doing this.
No. So my money's on Reggie Gilliam.
Okay.
No, who is the real answer? Tell me who the real answer is.
I think I'd love to know because I got no clue.
It's gonna be someone dumb like Dawson
Keon
Knox,
Coleman or,
Matt
you know.
Collins.
Keon Coleman wouldn't be dumb. They at least like he's at least a real player. You know,
Dude, it's gonna be Dawson Knox. You know why? Because it's the
Yeah.
playoffs, and like we can't lose, and it's where they're gonna reveal their lack of faith in Dalton Kincaid. Finally, like whatever, just put Dawson.
well, yeah, in the
They
playoffs,
haven't
you
revealed that yet.
Yeah,
that season wasn't the revelation.
True.
When are they gonna? This is
Even
not the
more
revel-
so.
Oh no!
It's
I
gonna
thought it was already revealed.
in the playoffs, you can't use the Rube Goldberg machine to get your shitty tight end to target. You just have to. This is the secret. Often is that these highly drafted players who get the ball in the regular season, who just are kind of inefficient, they just wholly disappear in the playoffs.
That can
because
happen. It's true.
Joe Brady is like, dude, like I can't get you your 4-yard screen just to keep you happy, man. Like I'm sorry, we just gotta get first downs.
That's a good take.
As a Chiefs fan, you probably know this better than most. Where you guys always
Go
have.
look at Hardman and Sky Moore stats in the playoffs.
Dude, Hardman
they
almost
ceased to
friggin' cost him the run last year, though.
Well, he also scored
the Super
let's
Bowl
not forget he did
He
score
did.
the literal Super Bowl winning touchdown.
Hardman was joining the mafia during the Bills game, though.
If you
was only able to score a touchdown by Kadarius Toney running the wrong play.
lined up in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sky Moore lined up in the touchdown spot by accident.
By the way, this is turning into a Chiefs podcast. If you watch that clip of
Shocking,
Hardman
like,
scoring the game-winning touchdown, you can see on Mahomes' face that he doesn't believe Hardman caught it. There's like a moment where you can see on Mahomes' face, he's like, he like wigs. He's like, that worked. He like can't believe it. It's very fun. You guys should go watch it because it's very evident.
It sounds
So
extremely plausible.
from a round one perspective, if you think about the game environment here, if you zoomed out, we've got 8.5 point home favorite Bills. We have 9.5 point home favorite Ravens. The implied team total was 28 for the Ravens. It's dropped to 26.5. It opened at 28 for the Bills. It stayed at 28. They're not like that different, you know. Now there's a 1.5 difference because of the line movement, but still healthy implied team totals for both teams. I think it's a lot easier to get excited about the Bills, though, in terms of like actually putting up a bunch of points in a way that
they scored 30 points 9 weeks in a row.
Man, that's insane.
And I think part of my optimism comes from the Broncos' run defense, which is really strong. And so you kind of have to pass on the Broncos. Sean Siegel wrote about this in his preview too. It's like the Broncos are kind of a pass funnel. They've been passed at a high rate against this season. The Bills, obviously, the strength of their game, the strength of their offense is the passing game, but sometimes they need like a little convincing with Brady at least to air it out. But this would be a game plan where you would expect them to go, oh, it's really, really hard to run on these guys. Maybe we're going to be shifted to the pass a little bit more. On the other hand, that's how the Bills would blow this, I think, is the Brady's like, we got to stay balanced. We can't let the Broncos take the run game away.
Well, see, the Broncos are good against. They are pretty good against the pass too. Like
They are.
They're pretty.
They are.
Don't they lead in like drop
They're very
back
good.
EPA? I think they had like the best drop back EPA.
They did I didn't pull it in through week 18, but through week 17 they were first in EPA allowed per dropback. Yeah.
So my only fear for the Bills is that not at all like a true like classic another boomer thought. Sorry for all the boomer thoughts. That's one of the reasons I'm here though.
Yeah.
I feel like
They
they're
are first through week 18 as well, by the way.
The Bills I feel like are totally overdue for like a turnover fiasco game. They were running like so pure on turnovers. Like I don't think Josh Allen's like really that fundamentally different. They led the league in turnover differential. I feel like they are. I feel like they're kind of overdue for some turnover regression, and they're playing like this pretty much overall elite defense. It's not great, I would say, from that perspective. That's the only area where I'm really concerned about the Bills. But I agree with Pat. It looks like a high-scoring environment. I'm not betting on the Broncos to be the one to prosper there. Like even if you do get 2 or 3 Bills if you told me today the Bills have 2 turnovers or -2 in turnover differential, I would still pick the Bills to win this game. So I just don't think the Broncos are not winning a shootout against the Bills.
No, they're not. But we might get the Broncos pushed here.
I think that's kind of what I was trying to get at. I think it actually will. They might be made to sweat, but it's just the avenues to the Broncos actually winning this game. I feel like they would need to be like +3 in turnovers to win this game. Yeah, like even +2 wouldn't be enough for the Broncos to win this game.
I fear you are correct.
They beat one playoff team all year, by the way. It was the Bucs for some reason in week 2.
That's so bizarre.
26-7. And it was one of those bizarre games.
What crazy fiction the NFL is. Just
I know.
Dude, the Patriots beat the Bengals this year.
I know. Dude, I've never honestly, that alone, you just need to be fired. I'm sorry.
That's so bad.
Zach, you gotta go.
Hey Zach, just reviewing the season, and you lost to Jacoby Brissett. So
I posted in that game, the middle of the week 18 game, like Bengals just really, really wishing they had one fewer absolutely dog shit loss this year because they had like 3 of them, but none of them worse than the Patriots one.
That was so bad. They had that overtime loss to the Ravens. They really should have won that game.
They're gonna be haunted by that one.
Yeah,
they're just an unserious team.
They are.
So I wanted just on the Allen thing. He actually in success rate is quarterback 5 behind Goff, Tua, Burrow, Baker, and ahead of Lamar. So down to down consistency. He's been awesome. It's not. There's like some guys this year that have really profiled. There's like Russell Wilson when he was having his moment. You know, it's like his success rate sucks, but his EPA is awesome. You know, you're kind of like negative regression candidate. I would just note that Allen really is not a negative regression candidate in that sense. I mean, obviously anyone can have a bad game turnover wise, but he's just been really, really, really solid.
That actually does make sense as a whole poker in my argument. And Josh Allen took 14 sacks all year. Like this dude, like when did he be like no one's ever been safer with the ball ever than Josh Allen this year? Like when did this happen?
I know it is surprising.
Is that something like that's not going to regress in the numbers, but that could just regress in like the spiritual nature of Josh Allen, like the man who in his first ever playoff game threw a 60-yard interception to a fullback and lateraled to, I think it was Dawson Knox. Just like at the worst possible time, his worst instincts went out.
Yeah.
His intrusive thought.
That is very possible, to be honest.
This is a tough defense. I mean, to your point, Pat, like they are good against the Pats and the run.
The Bills could be dude, McDermott is such a net negative. He's defensive shanty, where he does not take the field believing he's going to win. He's so fixated on how they might lose. He does not take the field. Like Andy Reid's like, yeah, whatever. Who cares? Like we'll win the game. Like it's fine. It doesn't matter anymore. Like he didn't used to be like that till he got.
No, he didn't used to be like that at all.
But now he's like, whatever. Who cares? Like we'll win. Like we're Shanny and McDermott, like they're so fixated on how they might lose instead of focusing on why they're going to win. McDermott just exudes that energy. They should have fired him after last year, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyways, the Bills are going to easily win.
Bills are going to easily win.
Easily win this one.
Yes, this
one. Any thoughts on the Bills-Ravens matchup that we're very likely to get?
Man, what a slobber knocker. It's like so many. It's the immovable object and the unstoppable force of takes. It's like the Takes Bowl. It's like one of the all-time Takes Super Bowls will be Bills-Ravens. Like one of the all-time take games. Bills-Ravens.
When are MVP votes like locked in?
They're due after the regular season. They probably voted this week.
Okay. Okay.
probably
I know it's
both.
obviously a regular season award, but
Yeah, they probably
should
both.
postpone it. They should postpone the regular season award until
Dirk
after.
Nowitzki accepting his award after the Dallas Mavericks have lost to the Golden State Warriors in round one potential this year.
It really is.
Man, what an
All
all-time
right.
moment.
Let's move on. Next game is the Packers at the Eagles. This game is not that big of a spread. It's up to 5.5. It opened at 3.5.
It needed to go up. It felt way too low to me.
Yeah, it's not. It still has not crossed a key number. It's just been kind of chilling out in this middle here. But it'll be interesting to see if it ends up going to 6. I kind of doubt it, but
Love,
some of that
would
was
have
like
to
Hurts
not
was.
play.
What'd you say?
Love would have to not play. I
Right.
think.
And like there was at least like a 1% chance or something that Hurts wouldn't play. I think everyone thought he was going to play, but
That's true.
now we know he's going to play. So the line, some of the line movement could reflect that, but I don't know. I've actually felt, Pat, like the Packers are kind of live here. I think
they're live, but I think a lot of it is about kind of Eagles didn't end the season at all like last year. In fact, they won 2 games.
No,
back
the exact opposite.
But I do feel like there's a bit of like this not knowing what to expect when the starting quarterback attempted 4 passes after week 15. That's always just kind of weird. Like, it's bad that it's a concussion, but I guess it's good that it wasn't like his arm or a lower body injuries. Like the idea that when he's cleared, like he is fully healthy. I think there's just a little bit of weirdness with that. The Eagles too, like they have like lots of explosive plays. Like they're so uninspiring on like they're very methodical. I looked up, I had the feeling, man, I feel like the Eagles, like I feel like they're always on 3rd down. And I looked it up, and they faced the second most 3rd downs in the league this year. Only the Browns faced more 3rd downs. The Eagles ran a shit ton of plays, is one reason why. But like, I was like, they're on 3rd down like a lot. Like they're very, very methodical, despite having so much explosive play potential. I feel like that's just like a bit of a concern. But like the Packers to me are like not a serious team, and they're going to try to out Eagles the Eagles, which you can't really do. Again, the boomer number here is the Packers went 0-5 this year against the Eagles, Vikings, and Lions. They beat the Rams and the Texans. They didn't beat anybody good. They like immediately just like turtled in all their biggest games. And like the way they have to beat the Eagles is like to introduce variance and like not try to out Eagles the Eagles and like take advantage of like their really good passing game. I mean, maybe
Jordan Love wants to. Jordan Love wants to go out there and be a hero, and then
he should. They should let him. Yeah.
LaFleur goes, "Hey, buddy, you." It's like when your dog is starting to get really excited playing with a toy, and he just wants to play with it so bad, and you're like, "No, come here." That is their relationship.
My feeling on this game is that they're going to try to out Eagles the Eagles, and like you just can't. That will not happen.
So I agree with all of that, and I think Eagles against the spread is a good bet. But also, if you told me on Monday morning, like Jalen Hurts just kind of played bad and Josh Jacobs ran well and Jordan Love like hit like an improbable 70-yard deep bomb to Romeo Doubs, I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, the Packers are pretty good.
Yeah, I think you can out Eagles to Eagles. That's kind of because you're talking about wanting variance. Variance is where there's not that many plays in the game.
Limiting possession.
That's true. Yeah.
Variance is limited possessions. You run the ball.
But the Eagles, they're so like. If you told me it was a limited possession game, I feel like the best limited possession team in the NFL would probably be the Eagles.
Yeah, no, and they've been explosive as you mentioned. Some of their explosives, a lot of their explosives are coming in the run game because of the year that Saquon Barkley's had. So it's not like this grinded out, 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of offense. It's actually like an explosive offense that leans on the run. But through week 17, they had a 50% pass rate. So that does create downside to where if they're not getting the explosives and they're just running the ball, like time is bleeding off, possessions are taking forever, to get like 3, 4, 5 yards a clip to get all the way down in a scoring position would take a long time. Now, Saquon is obviously very, very capable of ripping off long runs, which is what they're going to be counting on here. But if they can like bottle him up a little, like just like keep him from having the 50 yards to the house type of thing
to stop Saquon and just like not even respecting Jalen Hurts.
I mean, I think they probably, and that sets them up for long touchdowns. Like I think the Eagles win this game, to be clear, but I do think what it gives me kind of the vibes of is like some of those Aaron Rodgers Packers teams where like we know that the Eagles are going to be overly conservative for the talent advantage and the team strength advantage that they have here. There's going to be fewer possessions in this game than like I would argue there should be for the better team to want, right? Like, and that's good for the Packers in my opinion. Like they want to play conservatively. The Eagles want to play conservatively. The closer that this gets to like a coin flip, that favors the Packers in turn, like the variance being there's just like not a large sample through which the talent differential to express itself.
Along those, Davis made the critical second part of the point that I was making. That's just kind of where I thought the line was kind of sluggish, and I thought it had to do with Jalen Hurts like barely playing the final month. Davis made the second part of that point where like he wasn't playing well before the concussion either. It's like our final memories of Jalen Hurts were just him kind of like not playing that well, and then he got hurt. So like the Eagles' vibes are just kind of weird and bad.
The Packers are also better against the run than the pass. So kind of like, and again, like I think the Eagles would do well to like lean on the pass a little bit here. And like they have a talented quarterback. They have awesome weapons. Everybody's healthy. Like take to the air a little bit against the Packers. That's like the path of least resistance. But they've shown, I think, very, very clearly in terms of the way they've played things against other opponents that you would normally see teams shift to the pass against, and they didn't. Like, they're going to run heavy against the Jaguars and all these like pass funnels. No team was a pass funnel when the Eagles were facing them. The Eagles played their game. It was very kind of Arthur Smith-esque, frankly, where they're just like, we play our style of football and it works. So we're going to do that. And the matchup is not really something we're going to think about in that way. Like maybe they'll dial it up and down a little, but there's no, certain team like the Ravens can swing pretty wildly in terms of how they'll approach. So I don't know. I guess in some ways, I would probably be taking the under in this game.
Makes a lot of sense.
45.5. That's probably what I feel most strongly about. But I think the Packers are live in a way that like feels like the Eagles blew it.
Do you guys want to hear an ultimate boomer take for this game?
Yeah, please.
The Packers receive. When you win the toss, receive. Go down and score. And immediately the Eagles, the ultimate, they want to play from ahead.
No, this is no, dude.
Score.
No, this is so bad because the Eagles are going to punt on their first drive. They never score in the first quarter.
That's true shit.
They never scored in the first quarter. They literally were the worst quarter team in point differential in the entire NFL. Let them waste one of their offensive possessions.
For the love of God, defer.
Yeah.
That's like you're at a party and you're talking to the other guy who knows football. And you're like, oh, I'm gonna press it, and then he hits you with that, and you're home at the end of the night going.
No, I'm serious. This has become a bugaboo for me for a while. Like, dude, you're a huge road underdog. Like, put them behind. Change the psychology of the game. I actually think it's an analytical take at this point. Like, everyone has the same numbers now. Everyone has the same advanced stats. Everyone knows the pluses and minuses of every play. So it comes down. Change the psychology of the game and it's the playoffs. Everyone's nervous. Like put them on their back foot, take the ball and go score. People have become way too defer. If you're the favorite, friggin' defer and like go out and get a stop and be like, hell yeah. But if you're the underdog, there's nothing worse than like a big underdog in the playoffs defers. And then they just like go and like march down the field and like score. Like, all right. So
yeah, that does suck.
Game's over.
That really does suck.
Change the psychology of the game. You heard it here first.
All
Except
right,
for not against the Eagles because they never score in the first quarter.
They never score. So they won't change the psychology. The Eagles are going to win. All right. We got Bucks, Commanders, I think is the next game. Let me see. Is that the next game?
It is.
Okay. Commanders at Bucks. This is at 8:00 on Sunday. The total on this game is the highest.
Mention the network.
I believe this is on ESPN, sir. No, NBC. The Bucks have a 26.75 implied team total. The Commanders at 23.75. We got the Bucks as 3-point favorites at home. A total of 50.5, the highest of the week by a healthy margin. That's 3 points higher than the Bills and Broncos, and the Rams at Vikings, which are both 47.5. So this is the shootout bowl, the one we're kind of, all your fantasy stuff. Everyone's most excited about this game. I think it's a pretty fun game to target. The interesting thing for me in this game is that the Commanders have been a massive run funnel all season. Teams are running against them at a high rate. They have a really low pass rate of expected. They're shifting in pass rate over expected. So this is like this is one of those defenses that does really seem to be affecting opposing game plans. And then, writing up the walkthrough every week, one thing I've noticed is that I think run funnels are a little bit more reliable. Sticky, yeah. Because teams kind of want to run. If you're in a situation where you can run on a team and they can't stop you and you have a good run game, most teams will take
empowering. Yeah.
It's very empowering. Teams love that. Pass funnels are a little trickier because you have to have a team who is willing to do it. Some teams will just straight up forego a pass funnel because they're we don't pass, we run the ball. So I think that this is not going to be lost on the Bucs that they can pound the rock here, and Bucky Irving's playing great. I think it sets up as a massive Bucky game. I think.
Oh man, talk about every game sets up as a massive Bucky game these days. This star in the making. Have him in our dynasty league, by the way, and. The Bucs, when you said 26.5 implied team total, for some reason I know another extremely dumb stat. I know they scored fewer than 26 points at home only twice in 9 games. The Bucs just kind of rock and roll at home. And the Commanders defense, they're a run funnel, but they're not a good pass defense either. This is a game where talk about the year too early team. I think this is probably going to really be the year too early game. Where I was talking about maybe the Chargers being a year too early. It feels like the year too early bowl for the Commanders. It's not good defenses, but the only defensive strength really is kind of the Bucs against the run. And I just feel like it's gonna be a tough road to hoe basically for the Commanders to win this game. And I feel more confident in the Bucs than I do some of these other more established name brand favorites. It just feels like a Bucs win to me.
Where are you at, Davis?
I think the Buccaneers easily win this game.
Yeah, I do too.
I ran Reeves had me run this filter earlier. Since week 10, quarters 1 through 3, so before tremendous fourth quarter comeback mode, where do you think in EPA per play Jaden Daniels ranks amongst NFL quarterbacks?
Those quarters don't matter.
Sorry, what are you saying?
So since Jaden Daniels came back from his rib injury,
okay,
excluding the fourth quarter, where do you think Jaden Daniels ranks in adjusted EPA per play?
He only cares about winning time. It doesn't matter.
I don't know, 25th.
It's 17th. Now, there's only 19 quarterbacks with enough plays below Bryce Young, for example.
Yeah, but that's. I don't know.
He's enough professional. He's like the Chiefs. Chiefs don't care about the regular season. Jaden Daniels doesn't care.
My larger concerns are actually about Cliff. If Cliff gets punched in the mouth or something, Cliff, we know he's better than we all thought he was when he got fired by the Cardinals, clearly. But leopards don't change their spots, and Cliff is kind of like Ange Postecoglou. He's got no plan B. Plan A is not working. The plan is do plan A better. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, I do have strong a year too early vibes with the Commanders. That definitely resonated with me.
Terrible roster. Olamide Zaccheaus is involved.
Yeah, no, he's been an improvement on some of the stuff they did earlier.
He has been. He's been very lively. I started.
Zach Ertz is going to be on CBS in 18 months, and he's maybe going to lead this team in targets.
Yeah.
What color hair do you think? Is he going bleached hair, or are you going back to natural for
natural?
I assume Zach Ertz already has gray hair.
Oh, is that why you think he bleached it? God, that's sad. If it's to hide the gray.
Yeah. He's 34 years old, man.
That bums me out.
I'm not getting any grays up here yet.
Oh, I've got a bunch of grays. The curly, because my hair is curly, sometimes it's just all grays are popping out, and I look like I've gotten way grayer, and sometimes they're all hidden. So I have gray days and not gray days.
It caused a stir around here recently where I got 2 grays in my sideburns.
Oh.
And a few people noticed it somehow. Like, yeah, you
I'm
got
like
a
a
gray
fifth gray, I think. Today's kind of a low gray day, but if I were to
there.
scramble this
I
up,
can't really
you'd see it.
gray there.
Yeah. No, this is a good.
What were we talking about?
Anyway, hey, just life and how
Yeah, Commanders suck.
the unceasing march of time.
Like I heard this stat. I heard this stat about the Buccaneers defense that they were top 5 in EPA per play over the last month, and then I looked at who they played, and I was like, well, actually, their defense still stinks. It's just
I know
They are good against the run.
Sometimes.
They're good against the run. I don't think Cliff is going to be like a seize the day type. Like, we're coming out throwing, Cliff is not seizing the day. And
no, he's not.
The thing with Jaden, though, I mean, he definitely was struggling for a while there, but it seems like we got him back now.
it was health related. I really do think it was.
Yeah, I think it was health related. Yeah. If he's what he can be, then I think that the Commanders could upset the Bucs here. I think the Bucs have a very clear path to victory of really strong running back now, bad run defense. They should be able to pass off of that effectively with Baker, but we've seen him just suck sometimes.
Well, the key stat for this entire game is probably you're the underdog, you're on the road. It might help you if the opposing quarterback, who had a great season, but it might help you if the opposing quarterback led the league in turnovers and interceptions.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main avenues to victory, of course, is turnover variance for the Commanders.
Baker's had an awesome season, but that's a good point.
Baker's
he's the guy
super legit. Yeah, he led in picks and he led in turnovers. He also had 41 passing touchdowns and probably 5 rushing. Baker's such a wild man. It's pretty fun to watch, actually.
I don't want to say the Commanders here, but I honestly think the Commanders could easily win this game. I'd probably pick them.
We're going fully chalk. Davis and I both think
this is where I'll pivot off the chalk personally and say the Commanders.
Davis and I both said easy Bucks win, though.
Yeah, it's just the only games that I would really, truly, the only game that I'm like, I cannot foresee this in any timeline. I've closed my eyes. I've gone to 10,000 universes. The only one I can't see the underdog winning is the Steelers game. Other than that, I'm like, whatever.
Man, you got to free your mind on that one, man.
If Lamar loses a freaking wild card round game to the Steelers, there's going to be an inquisition, man. We just can't have it.
and then
I
the
agree
following day, he's announced his MVP.
Yeah, we cannot have. Oh my God, it would be the ultimate Dirk MVP then.
Yeah, it would be.
If they lost to the.
Oh,
dude, Tomlin. Mike Tomlin was born to win this game, man. He's not going to. Let me be clear. The Ravens will still win, but Mike Tomlin was born to win this. Although Steelers just are.
Has any coach had to address the elephant in the room that they're bad?
That they suck.
That's a first, right?
Tomlin
Nothing
probably
happened.
has before. This has become a yearly occurance.
Hey, we made the playoffs and we suck.
Tomlin has for sure had to do that. Yeah, that's happened.
Yeah. Well, you're the host though, Pat. You can make the call.
No. I was outvoted. It's fine. We're gonna end up with a chalk bracket, I think, but that's fine.
Are we?
Or are we? Maybe we'll get outvoted again. It's because what it is? It's that the Bucs pass defense is not good. Like that's to me, I'm like, you get one team's bad against the run and one team's bad against the pass. But if the Commanders show up and really play a winning football game, I'd rather have the team who's going against a bad pass defense than a bad run defense. Not the Commanders are great against the pass or anything, but they're better than they used to be. And the Bucs still look pretty vulnerable.
Cliff has to seize the day, and I don't ever remember a day seizing by Cliff.
That's true. You know what kind of reminds me of that? I know you guys won't get this reference, but I'm gonna do it anyway. In the F1 season this year, there was Max Verstappen, Red Bull. I can't stand it. The team's.
Isn't he won every race since 2017 or something?
Yeah, he wins all the races. He's super. His whole personality rubs me the wrong way. And then the team boss is real creepy. There's a whole thing there. All of it's gross. I don't like Red Bull.
The American mind cannot comprehend type of deal.
It's just, yeah. Anyway, so they get Lando Norris, who's only semi-likable. He's fine. He's McLaren. He's kind of in the running, and all of a sudden, basically Verstappen's running away with the season. There's no question that Verstappen's going to get it. But then all of a sudden, and it's probably because Red Bull was cheating, the car gets way worse all of a sudden. No one knows why. It's because they were cheating, I think.
Clearly cheating,
just my theory. There's like, I don't know, they're using some kind of braking that was affecting the wheels differently is the theory. Anyway, no proof of that though. They all of a sudden McLaren comes storming, and they have the best car, like out of nowhere. They have the best car. Lando's never won a race, so he wins his first race, and now he's like, he should basically. It's like, okay, you can win the driver's title, even though you basically weren't going to win a race this season because you have the best car, and just completely botched it. The team, they completely botched it, and at the end of the year, they go, well, no one's ever won their first race and a driver's title in the same season. So you can't really even expect it. It was honestly unfair of you to expect us to win. And that's like the vibes I get a little bit from Washington. It's like, it's almost unfair of you to now expect us to have a good playoffs. We would like to just lose, go home, and then think about winning next year.
That is a great comp, man. That is a great, that's Quinn and Cliff to like a T. Like,
yeah.
Like they both think that way. They're not day Caesars. Like
no.
I never once saw Dan Quinn has never seized a day in his entire life. He has off the field. It seems like he's got a very positive can-do personality. I'm sure he wakes up seizing the day, but then once the game starts, he does not seize the day.
No, they don't, and it's a shame. I really think this is a winnable game for them, but you guys are probably right.
Of course, it's winnable. That's a coin flip.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like if you come in here, like this game has the potential for them to come in and be like, it's the first quarter. You're like, they're winning this game. But I don't.
You know what's funny is that is happening. That happens every wild card weekend. One of these games, by the end of the first quarter, there's going to be an underdog that's like clearly going to win the game.
Yeah.
Like, well, Sean McDermott shit himself. It's over. We're like, oh, Lamar fumbled twice. He hasn't fumbled since September. It's over.
To me, the two candidates for that would be the Commanders, and I think maybe the Texans. Like if the Texans show up and are just like looking good again for some reason, you're like, oh damn.
Two here. You want my boomer hat back on? The two biggest things that could happen this weekend are a huge first quarter Nico Collins reception or a huge first quarter George Pickens reception.
Yeah.
If Pickens is like, I think I got my
Pickens
swagger
Pickens
back.
again.
Yeah. If he Cam Newton gifts, I'm back. Probably his only catch of the game, so probably wouldn't end up that big of a deal. But at least make you think about it for a minute.
That's a great point. Yeah.
That is a good point.
64-yard non-scoring.
If Jaden Daniels does like a spin move and Baker throws an interception to a linebacker, like it's joke.
That's true.
The Baker interceptions we forget because it's been so long. This guy used to be like the dust bucketiest interception thrower.
He led the league in picks still this year. The difference was he was way better when he wasn't.
He was way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Baker leads I think Pat's probably heard me talk about this before. It's been a while, but he's one of the most confident interception throwers you ever see. Like, like when you're watching a game, especially like the quarterback really confidently steps into a throw. Like, well, shit, this is a 70-yard touchdown.
I'd rather a confident interception than a Bryce Young interception where he just like looks resigned to it. Old Bryce Young. Old Bryce Young.
Old Bryce Young.
Usually in the NFL,
new Bryce Young's turning around before the touchdown pass. No look touchdown.
Usually in the NFL, when a quarterback confidently steps into a throw, like, well, we're screwed. This is a 45-yard touchdown. But like Baker, he can have or any other quarterback could be like a 52-yard touchdown with Baker. It's like a double covered pick. I don't know what he was looking at there.
Yeah, I want that from my quarterback. Like if I did root for Pat Mahomes, I would definitely want my guy to be like Baker, just like, hey man, I'm gonna go put a Zen in on the sideline and we're gonna figure this out. This is why
I'm so excited about Drake May. The guy he's throwing at the back of his receivers' heads, and they're the only way they could possibly catch it is turn around and catch over the guy because they can't get any separation. And he's just like, yeah, that's fine. I'll throw their heads all day.
Craig, I think you've heard me rant too. The correct number of interceptions is not 0.
It's not 0.
It is not 0.
No.
As we learned from all of Aaron Rodgers' career.
Seriously.
And as we may learn from Sam Darnold this weekend, the Vikings at the Rams is the final game. This game is at 2.5 now. And I guess it opened at 2.5. At one point, it was 1.5.
It was a 1 for a while.
Yeah.
Then since
Okay.
they've moved the game, it has crept up to 2.5 or 3.
That makes sense. So Vikings at the Rams, but the game has been moved to Arizona. This has a 47.5 point total. This is like the kind of the other shootout bowl. This is, there's 2 games on the slate where both teams have really high implied team totals. In this case, the Rams are 22.75 and the Vikings are 25.25. This is the one like in FFPC and stuff. No one wants to pick the winner. They're just gonna play Puka and Jefferson and be like, doesn't matter. I got the guy on either side. And obviously it's the closest spread, so tough to pick the winner. The Vikings, when I look at like what they do well, their defense is very good. They blitz at the highest rate in the league. They get pressure at a really high rate. The Rams can't pass protect. So I think this is it's a scary matchup for the Rams on offense, I think. Where are you guys at?
Well, I feel like Davis, you go first, unless you want me to.
So this was going to be my upset pick, and then the line flipped because
I know it's tough.
Right.
I was going to take I still am going to take the Vikings. So I feel like this is kind of one of those things where real life can just never be as nice as you want it to be. Like cool, really cool. The Rams, like they win the Super Bowl, then they tear it all down and it all goes to 0. And then Cooper Kupp and Stafford decide on a Thursday night, like we're playing to keep me from getting traded, basically. Like, and we win, and then we win the division, and then we show up and we play a team that is just an awful matchup for us. Just a team that can make our what is Havenstein? Is he like 38 years old? He's a guard. Like,
dude, I feel like was he in St. Louis?
He was, yes. like their offensive line is finally all healthy, but their offensive line is terrible. And it's like Stafford is he's in that age where it's like a 36-year-old, like Justin Verlander. Like some days Verlander will wake up and he'll be like, "Oh, I feel great today, man. Let's go throw 7 innings, 8 Ks, 2 earned runs." And then some days Verlander wakes up and he's like, "Dude, I do not got it, but I got to start today anyways." And he's pulled in the 4th inning. And like you could get a Stafford, he's throwing the cool sidearm, and Puka's like, just playing like a wild man out there. The hair, Puka growing the hair out and letting it go has been a really good brand move for him. And like maybe Cooper Kupp needed last week off. Like maybe his ankle's been, because he's gone to 0. Like Cooper Kupp has basically been irrelevant to the Rams for
Michael Thomas
months. Yes. But
He's
maybe he just
Robinson
needed the break. Do you know DeMarcus Robinson recorded 0 receptions in the final month of the season for the Rams? 0 receptions on 6 targets the final month of the season.
Sanity prevails. Thank God.
All that, and the other thing is McVay is like, he somehow is Shanahan, but more so. No great coach takes more off the table.
The difference is that it works when it's McVay.
McVay's like you feel like he's just like more confident and virile, than Shanahan. Like something about it does. I do agree with that. It does clearly work for him in a way that it does not work for Shanahan.
They're both too conservative, though. They're
too conservative, but McVay is in a like more Belichickian way, where like he's not conservative out of fear. He's like conservative because he's always like, well, I'm setting up this, or I'm setting.
Yeah, I agree. It's because he has some belief about what he's doing.
There's belief instead of fear. Yeah,
there's belief instead of fear. But the beliefs, I think, are sometimes misplaced.
Yeah, they're wrong a lot. Yeah, so, but he at least believes.
He at least believes. Yeah, Shanny, it's fear. What do you think what would the world be like if the Falcons had won that Super Bowl?
Flying cars.
So much better.
I honestly think that was like a turning point, like a sliding doors moment for the whole country.
Honestly, this is a great theory. This is a really, really good theory, to be honest.
I think the world changed that day.
It's like evil won again. It was like the moment, like, nah, man, it's just evil's winning every time.
Yeah.
Every time. This is a weird game. The Vikings have been luck boxing all year. Like only the Chiefs have more. So I put in my article, only the Chiefs have more one-score wins than the Vikings. So people accept it with the Chiefs because the proof has been in the pudding for a while there. One way to have a lot of one-score wins is if you have a lot of wins. So if you have 14 wins, it stands to reason. A pretty decent amount of them would be by one score, but 9 of 14 by one score, that's a lot. They don't have many convincing wins. Their strength of victory is pretty low. There's clearly like running a little hot this year. Kevin O'Connell is the second time where he's run really hot on this kind of stuff, so I'm sure a lot of it is just good coaching. But I feel like they're a very consistent team. They're like a very good team, but they're not a dominant team. And like it's a bad break for them to have to go on the road. Although now it's like not even really on.
It's only half the road.
Yeah. That was a good break for the Vikings. Horrible real life circumstances, of course, but like a good break for the Vikings that the game is no longer a true road game.
And I mean, the thing that is unknowable is like some of these guys like literally probably lost their houses, or like their families lost their houses, or like their kids' school burnt down, and it's like, I mean, how much of that, like, I don't know. So I'm very
it has
good
to be weighing heavily. Yeah. And like the Vikings were going on the road no matter what. Now the Rams midweek are going on the road. Yeah, while stuff is messed up at home, that is
like, my house burnt down, and I'm a defensive back making $1.5 million, which in Los Angeles is like minimum wage. It's not great.
It is not good.
No.
The tenor of the game changed when it was moved. Where I was honestly just like, this would be the game where I was going to pick the Rams.
Is there going to be a Rams fan there? It's a good question. Not will there be Rams fans there? Will there be how many Stafford jerseys? I set the line at 4.5 Stafford jerseys in the stands.
4.5. What's the capacity of this stadium?
And it's not Stafford's
like
family.
68,
And it can't be
68,000. It's 4. You set the line at 4.5.
I'm telling you, this is going to look like they might as well have who is the defensive end? The white defensive end. Everyone loved him.
You have to be more specific.
He played Jared Allen. Jared Allen. They might as well. They might as well bring him in with the Viking horn. Really,
I will say the Rams. The Rams are talking.
Is the skull guy showing up? Are we gonna get the?
That's
Rams,
what I'm saying, dude.
We're talking a big game from the pre-sale that apparently a lot of Rams people bought tickets, but it's probably a lot of Vikings Trojan horses.
That's
the thing, man. You don't know. You don't know who's. Yeah, just because LA. I mean, LA.
I genuinely wondered if the game moving from LA to Glendale was going to mean fewer Vikings fans, though.
No, think about all the snowbirds, man. Think about all
a lot of snowbirds in Arizona, of course, but LA is the kind of town where like, no one's a Rams fan. So it's the kind of town like anyone who like I went to college in Minnesota, like they root for the Vikings. Arizona is not quite to that. It's just a lot smaller. It's a huge metro area, but it's way smaller in LA still. Where I almost feel like there's gonna be fewer Vikings fans in Arizona than there were gonna be.
No,
in LA.
I would take the opposite side of this. I'm saying 90% purple.
90's high. 90's high.
Not higher than saying there's gonna be less than 4 jerseys from Stafford there.
Yeah, there might be 4 Stafford jerseys per section, Davis.
Oh, come on. You guys, I think
some of them will be Lions Stafford jerseys.
The line,
that's kind of a gray area.
I think the market roughly believes with me because this line moved 3.5 points with the change of venue. That's like a pretty big swing to go to.
It's bad for the Rams. I
will
say
good for the Rams.
The one thing, so, the Vikings are like Mr. Blitz or whatever, the exotic blitzes. Stafford's, I think I saw some mixed data on how good he did against pressure this year. The line is horrible, but Stafford is the classic. Like he doesn't care. Like he ain't reading all that on the exotic blitz. Like he's not gonna like that bothered by it. Like where he could rip some real big early gains that kind of gets like the Vikings defense to back off. I feel like
he's like kind of the platonic ideal of a quarterback, Matt Stafford.
He is
really. He played baseball in high school. Like he definitely chews tobacco when the cameras are not on, like 100,000,000%. And when he gets smoked harder than you've ever seen a quarterback get smoked before, he'll like pat the defender on the helmet.
Yes,
like that is just how, again, very similar to Baker Mayfield. Like you're so happy if that guy's your quarterback.
No, absolutely. So I do think like the Vikings' defensive advantage is not as pronounced against Stafford as it is some teams. 'Cause,
Interesting.
like he doesn't care. Like, he's like, oh, whatever. Like, yeah, whatever.
Well, the thing, floors confuses you if you're either dumb or too smart. That's where he owns you. But if you're just like, well,
if you're just a ball player, then you know,
like the Buccaneers would be a bad matchup because like, what does Baker Mayfield care?
Yeah, he's just a ball player.
Do all the safety disguise.
You need a pick. You need a quarterback who's not afraid to throw a pick, and Stafford's not afraid to throw a pick.
That's true. That is true. Is McVay afraid though?
Won the Super Bowl the year.
McVay is very afraid though. I will say of that.
Yeah, and the Vikings are also good against the run. So the way if McVay gets afraid and then starts calling, like if they're like we're not picking up these blitzers, these protections aren't working, then they start running the ball. I think the Rams could get themselves in trouble that way. It's a little like I talked about.
That seems pretty likely too. Actually, it seems very likely.
Yeah, that's one of the things that worries me on the Rams side.
How good do you think the Vikings actually are? Let's be real.
I see. That's the thing, man. I think we are so prisoner of the moment, and we just saw, like, Sam Darnold saw the ghosts on national TV in what basically amounted to a playoff game, and so now we've all decided that everything else that happened just magically got erased.
Yeah.
Well, it was
pretty good.
It was building towards that, though. You know,
yes.
they barely beat the Packers. They barely beat the Seahawks. They barely beat the Cardinals in December. I don't remember what these were. The final scores were close. I don't remember if one of these two were like fake close. They needed overtime to beat the Bears. Like that was the infamous. No, that wasn't the Thanksgiving game. That was the Lions. But listen, they're very well coached. They won a lot of close games. But the Rams are extraordinarily well coached. And also, we haven't even mentioned it all. It's just like the sensei versus the master. The O'Connell McVay connection.
I think O'Connell might be the better version.
No. We always want to underrate McVay because he's so conservative. But he's like Belichick, where he's like the rare successful version of conservative. It works for him.
I know, but like O'Connell's applying these same principles, that I think as far as like who's scheming up better offense, like probably McVay, just because like he's done it so well so long that like I'll just assume him. But like when you're taking a really really well schemed offense and then leaning on the pass more than the run, and O'Connell's very consistent. He never gets carried away. It's not like it's not like the Bengals that they're like they just like completely abandon the run. They almost always have a bit of a run game, but in any given game, but they're almost always tilted to the pass.
O'Connell is amazing. I can't say one bad thing about O'Connell's coaching.
He's great.
Yeah, he is really, really good. The venue change kind of foreclosed the upset possibility, I feel like. Just clearly all 6 favorites are going to win. That happens every year.
Yeah, that's never not happened, I don't think.
It's never not happened.
Although last year was pretty chalky.
In the first round, it happens less often than you would think. Well, the Buccaneers were the upset last year over the Eagles,
right.
But vibes-based, everyone knew the Eagles were going to lose that game. Like,
who has the most rancid vibes, the Steelers or the Texans?
Texans, I think.
I think it's
the Steelers, to be honest. Because like the Texans vibes have been bad for a while, whereas the Steelers vibes got really bad late.
Yeah, but the Steelers, you have the divisional matchup, and it's like
I feel like that saves
anything
them.
can happen.
Exactly.
No, I know.
Oh yeah, shit. I'm arguing. Myself.
You're arguing that wives are worse.
Crap.
You agreed with me way too hard there.
I know.
Yeah, the Texans are at home, and everyone's like, oh, they can't win. They're at home in a playoff game.
But the bookmakers don't think that.
I know, but the vibes are bad. The vibes are so bad.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, 31-2 is the most humiliating result in the history of the NFL.
It's so
gotta
bad.
Be real about it. It doesn't get worse than that.
It'd be 31-0 would be less humiliating.
31. This is like the classic game where you just wanted it to be a shutout.
Yeah,
you just wanted it to be a shutout. 31-2
with a
takes this to an entirely different level.
It's so much worse.
It's honestly the only score that would be worse. 31-5 would be worse. But 31-2 is about as bad as it gets.
31-5.
2 points 2 points in front of Beyonce on Christmas, and they were acquired via safety.
31-5 would be
2.
even worse because it would mean like at one point you got close to scoring and still just kicked a field goal.
I'm in complete agreement that it's worse. But 31-2 is funny because, like, okay, you let up 31 points. Like, your defense was clearly terrible, right? They couldn't do anything in this game, right?
Yeah.
Well, they got safety.
Oh my god! Right.
Score more points than the offense.
What more do you want him to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, real quick, Davis. I'm not the host, but what's the one, like, we all want to look smart, so we don't just necessarily say like our deepest thoughts on, like, what's your deepest thought, like, of possible
Truth serum take?
Truth serum take is the Eagles come out and just look brutal. Barkley can't do anything.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is like turfing passes, and the Packers just like easily win. Like Josh Jacobs, 138 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and Jordan Love is just like mooning Eagles fans or something. Like, just that is the one that I can't get out of my head. I don't really want to be, because I think the Eagles are a really good team, but there's just like, for what, maybe it's that the way Jalen Hurts is successful doesn't look aesthetically pleasing.
Well,
Maybe
just that he
that's
hadn't been
what's
playing
important.
well. They're in a weird state right now. The Eagles. It's weird. Their roster is so good. They won games with their number 2 and 3 quarterbacks. Like, Hurts just wasn't playing well, then he got hurt. So it's just kind of a weird thing.
I love that. That's kind of one of my takes as well, that the Eagles have that in their range. Not that I expect it, but if that happens, I'm not going to be shocked. I think. Go ahead. Yeah,
you go. Do you have a different truth serum one than that?
My truth serum take is that I really think that even if Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury aren't ready, they need another year to prepare. That Jaden Daniels might not, especially in the wild card round, right? Like, once we get a couple games into this, maybe we see a team that's not ready to like make a deep run. But I think he's already at the level where he can just like put the team on his back against a bad pass defense and just win this game for them.
It's kind of like the Packers last year, really, what you just described.
Yeah. That would be exactly kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Mine is definitely the Bills or the Ravens. And I just think, again, I genuinely, like, if I'm betting money, I'm betting on the Ravens to win. But I think the Ravens are the most trouble spot. The familiarity is not good for the Ravens. This is the classic. It will be a rock fight. Losing Zay too. It's like, even if like we don't think like Zay is like an elite player, but like a team that didn't have a lot of depth, like it's a lot of like reallocated resources. Like headaches you didn't need going into the playoffs, basically, and. Like not only the third game they just played, it's like probably for the Steelers feels like they just played. Like, so you can really in your mind's eye easily see the adjustments you need to make. The Ravens have just been running really hot too. They're kind of overdue for like an off week. Horrible opinion there, but I don't like the Tomlin in third game. Being 8-2 that's a suspicious statistic. Why are the Ravens 2-8 against the Steelers this decade? Like, that's very
that is a good wind, Horst.
That is weird and bad. It's very weird and bad. And
that's a good point.
Like, that's very, like, maybe Tomlin is just like a nightmare matchup for Lamar for some reason.
It's probably in the Ravens' head too.
Yes, he's an amazing coach. What were you saying, Davis?
It's probably in the Ravens' heads too. Like, they probably
it has to be
out. Yeah.
But I mean, if I was betting, it's not quite legal in Missouri yet. Davis, when is it going to be legal?
Not until like September.
September?
Yes, this is always what happens. It gets legalized in a state, and then like DraftKings and FanDuel have to send their lawyers, and then the state's lawyers have to okay it, and then BetMGM will be like, well, actually, our lawyers would like to take a look, and it's just like a freaking hassle.
I've always bet it. I would bet the Steelers to cover, but I would definitely bet the Ravens money line. Like, the Ravens are going to win the game. But this is the game where I have the most pause. Is this game?
A second lower confidence truth serum take would be I think the Broncos could cover
for sure.
Like in a way that doesn't feel like the win for the Bills was a foregone conclusion. Like, where they
McDermott's a
serious run for the money.
McDermott's a pants shitter.
Yeah.
And Peyton is like one of the ultimate like swagger coaches, even though it makes a lot of really dumb decisions. Peyton doesn't like come into a playoff game like thinking like Peyton like definitely thinks he's winning this game.
Yeah, he does.
He like
I
definitely.
think there's a fourth quarter moment where Bills fans are watching. They're going to lose this game. They're going to lose this fucking game.
You're right that even if they don't, there's going to be.
Even if they don't.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they will.
Shope on Monday. That'd be really good on ADP chasing.
I don't want that. I don't want Shope coming in.
Look, it's setting up for Bills Chiefs conference championship.
You gotta. I mean, Shope's got to do like Bills radio on Monday.
For like
we can't. Yeah, we can't have Bills lose to the Broncos. Shope as he then goes to do Bills
he might
radio.
Need to take
That's
the day
such
off
a bummer.
Happens, yeah.
Yeah, I think there might not be.
No. The day your local, like if you're a local radio guy, the day your team is eliminated for the season, that is your Super Bowl. That's like why you get paid. That's why people you're the center of it.
That's true. By the way, shout out to Shope. My best friend's dad is like a Bills mega fan, and he texted me today. He's like, "They mentioned you on WGR." Shope mentioned like a tweet or something I had.
Nice.
So shouts to Shope.
Shope's great.
He is really great.
I think I've never done local team radio, but I would imagine that while it is kind of the Super Bowl for you when your team gets eliminated, you don't want it to be a wild card round when you're as good as the Bills. You got it. Like
the best thing is to have a shitty playoff run and then get eliminated, like really, then lose like 27-3 in the AFC Championship game or something. That's what you want.
Yeah.
So you want panic the first two rounds, and then you want confirmation. Yeah, well, we did suck all along. That's probably the best case outcome.
That is, that's the
fans are just convinced they sucked in the radio. I don't know. It was the AFC Championship game. To lose it, you have to get there. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It was evident for weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I've been saying this for months.
There's nothing a fan loves more than their team losing and then being vindicated about why the team lost.
Oh
why the team sucks.
So right.
The specifics of how they sucked.
Like you love for every Pat, you love every Cardinals loss, and you're just like, I knew this team stunk, and I was right.
No, it's even more with Mizzou, to be honest. Well, I fucking knew it.
Yeah. Well, if you're a college, I mean, specifically now in the new day and age, if you're a college football fan of not Ohio State, Texas, Bama
even's kind of getting
Bama, you're just like, well, this is going to be bad in the end.
DeBoer, total fraud, by the way. I mean, his OC got fired after 1 year in the NFL. It's never been more over for DeBoer.
Well, all the wide receivers stink, and Penix looks good. So maybe the whole plane was just built out of Penix.
That's a good point.
McMillan's pretty good.
McMillan's
pretty good.
McMillan's like, man, talk about someone I'm wishing I had in Dynasty.
And there is no way to know if Roma Dunze is good or not. Actually.
He's bad. Yeah, he's bad. Yeah, it's fine.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
On that note. I told Davis before the show we'd keep it tight, and I don't know why I said that. We both knew it. We would.
I knew it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
very low odds of that with this.
But here we are.
I've said all three of us are show elongators instead of show shorteners.
We are.
We are not show shorteners.
No.
All right. Any plugs here before we get out of here?
I spent all week. I wish I were kidding. Writing my playoff article, not a fantasy article, just ranking the playoff field. And a lot of stuff I said on today's show was stuff I kind of uncovered. It's like I was looking for stuff to confirm my priors, and a lot of it's like, wow, all right, I was kind of right about that. And then the stuff I wasn't right about didn't make. I had to adjust on a few different things. Because like the Chargers are one thing. Like I was feeling a little more bullish on the Chargers until I looked into the data at all.
It's not good.
Yeah. But yeah, I ranked the entire playoff field 1 to 14. And
That's huge for all these contests we're doing and stuff. It's
prisoner of the moment. I moved the Chiefs ahead of the Ravens after the Zay thing. I was like, man, it's over. It's over. We'll see though. 1 to 14. I ranked.
So you're not drafting Zay at all, like in these playoff contests. You wouldn't touch him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's bad where you don't even keep up a facade at all in the first.
It round. I'm giving that to. I'm actually awarding this one to RotoPat. It's really bad when you don't even pretend that a guy can practice.
Yeah, that was a huge red flag.
I can
Maybe-
see it as well. I think
Maybe it's an
remember-
injury where you're really swollen for a week though, and then like it's a quick turnaround. But I feel like that happens with the ankles sometimes. I don't feel like that really happens with knees.
Remember when Jordan Love borked his knee and they pretended like he was going to play every
Yes.
week until he finally played
Yes, 3 weeks
like-
we did that
for like
yeah.
3 weeks?
Yes, he did play
The-
in the third week. But
The not pretending is bad.
it is bad.
I don't want to
legitimately bad.
I don't want to like panic your listeners who are drafting all these teams and all that. But yeah, it didn't seem
Well, they're definitely not going to panic because all of the contests are basically closed, and so
Okay,
they either will or will not have drafted a bunch of Zay, and now they're just like, there's no way to change it. So,
By the way, I don't
we'll
do the
definitely
best ball
panic. We'll
ones.
definitely panic.
My time to shine is playoff DFS. Basically, all year I lose money, and then until the playoffs in the smaller fields, then I start doing better.
All right, let's go. That's what
Yeah.
we want to hear.
So I'm looking to make some lineups this weekend.
Davis, what you got going on?
There's just a bunch of stuff over on youtube.com/Davis Mattek. Just did a take cast with Pete. You can go check that out on the take cast channel. And big board in like 2 weeks, man. So
Man,
hope you're ready.
insane.
I'm getting ready.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah.
to talk rookies soon. That'll be fun.
Yeah, let's do Monday after ADP chasing.
Done.
Boom.
All right.
Done.
All right. We'll be back here. We'll probably simulcast that. So we'll be back here on the respective YouTube channels next week. Talk some rookies.
Yes, we will.
Till then, good luck in all of your playoff contest stuff. Good luck to all the fans out there for their teams. Hope you get a win this weekend, or if not, a very entertaining day
Or a
on
loss.
local radio.
Is
A loss that'll make you want to call into your local radio station.
Yeah, I hope your call gets accepted on your radio station of choice
Yeah.
on Monday. All right, see you guys next week.